Perhaps some of you have heard the story of a village that had been greatly afflicted by a long-standing drought. And so they asked their priests to have a public prayer to beseech the Lord to send them rain. And so when the day came, all the villagers went to that place, and since it was hot, many of them wore sleeveless shirts, short pants, in keeping with the situation at hand. The only unique appearance was made by a little boy who was wearing his Sunday dress a bit hung for the occasion and carrying an umbrella. He was approached before the prayers began by the priest and asked, "Why are you wearing such and such, and why are you carrying an umbrella?" And the little kid says, "I am wearing my Sunday best because we are praying to the Lord, and I am carrying an umbrella because it will rain after our prayers." The second reading from the letter to the Hebrews states a very classical definition of faith. Faith is the realization of things hoped for, they're not yet there, and the evidence of things unseen. Husbunan mo na Bisaya. Ang pagtuulo, mao ang pagtagamtan sa mga butang na gilauman ug ang pagmatuod, ebidensya sa mga butang nga dili makita. Faith is the realization of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. As I began our Mass, I asked you, do you believe in faith, or is it faith that pushes you forward? Because our world today has become rather fatalistic. To the modern mind, steeped in science, unconcerned about symbols because it's too functional. The world has become too functional, and symbols help us transcend from this world to the next world, to God. Faith, or rather fate, the impersonal forces in the universe, is conspiring to give us a better life or to give us a not so good life. As Christians, we need to recover the meaning of faith. And let me suggest that our readings have something to say about faith. The first one is from Hebrews chapter 11, which has been dubbed as the roll call of the heroes of the Bible. Because the entire chapter talks about Old Testament figures who have undergone the gauntlet of suffering and trials and have proven themselves, from Abel to Noah, etc., etc. Of course, the word hero can be misleading because to be heroic is to be the master of one's faith and the captain of one's soul. which does not talk about faith. But be that as it may, Abraham is displayed as a hero of faith. This is our second reading. His faith shone very deeply, very brightly, when he left what was familiar. He came from Ur in what is now known as Iraq, north of the Holy Land. He hears a voice. He was still a pagan when he heard the voice of God. And he followed the voice that told him to leave everything behind and go to where I want you to go. Wow, that is not easy. We know that it takes a lot of faith for Filipinos to become OFWs. That is not easy. The second element in Abraham's faith is the fact that he was promised offsprings like the stars of the sky or the sands in the shore of the sea. And his only son, Isaac, was to be offered as a holocaust. He was about to do it when God stayed his hands and said, I was just testing you here. There is a ram. And we are told in the second reading that, in a way, Abraham believed in the resurrection because he received Isaac back as someone who had resurrected in a way. He was a man of faith. He realized what he had hoped for. He had hoped for offsprings. He had hoped for the security of a land. He underwent a very insecure period of time. And he experienced some of the things that were promised by the Lord. Because we are also told that this promise continues in our day and age. Something that we hope for in heaven. In the first reading from the book of Wisdom, we are dealing with the faith of an entire people. This is not just an individual and his clan, but an entire people who have been enslaved in Egypt. And the book of Wisdom recalls the experience of the Israelites under the Egyptians. The night of the Passover was known beforehand to our fathers. Interestingly, Bible scholars would say this is referring to the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They had already foreseen. God gave them this gift of seeing into what may happen in the future. And so we are told by the book of Wisdom that the fathers, the patriarchs, had already known beforehand the night of the Passover. Faith, in other words, is a gift that is given to individuals as well as to an entire people, I would say an entire nation. And we can only thank God for the gift of faith that we have, the gift of Christian faith. Ni Simang Lakamay, si Magallanes, mabot siya sa Bulukas, unya wakapil ang Pilipinas sa ginubuan, dili ta mga Kristiyano tayo, dili ta mga Katoliko, Muslim ta. Nung pasalamat ta sa Ginoo, naghihatag ang Kristohanong pagtulog kanata. The Gospel reading, on the other hand, talks about stewards who, after being faithful to during their watch and being accountable for their deeds. When the master returns, the master gears his loins. In other words, he prepares himself and proceeds to wait on them at table. It's the master serving the slaves. This is the promise of Jesus Christ. And the master is Jesus Christ in his return. If we, because of our faith, our surrender to God's plan, remain faithful despite our flaws and our woundedness, then when the master returns, he will serve us. That's astounding. I suspect this is one of the reasons why a very well-known theologian, Carmelo, once said, faith is to put up with the incomprehensibility of God during our entire lives. I repeat that. Faith is to put up with the incomprehensibility of God during our entire lives. Lisod sabto ng Ginoo. Kung atong tukaron ay ang sa ato, makahinag na ka. Muna ang ginahagan ng faith. Kung uyugon ka, kung bago ng atong plano, pasalamat ka sa Ginoo. Kaya naman, na siya'y plano na di pa nato masaktan. That's why we put up with the incomprehensibility of God towards us during our lifetimes. He did not say the irrationality. Lahi ba ng irrationality? He said incomprehensibility. Hindi tayo masaktan. Faith is what brings us together here. And let me end my homily by sharing with you GPS. Saan ang GPS? GPS. Mga millennials, saan ang GPS? Positioning system, saan ang G? Mo ba na siyang geological? What is that? What is G? Well, kaya ba yung ako kasi nagamit GPS? Kaya nakalimutan ko sa G. Global Positioning System. Okay. Ang GPS can be connected to the Lord, can be connected to faith. Because GPS, which allows us to position ourselves before God as righteous individuals, means that faith, first of all, is a sheer gift G of God to us. It is something we ask for. It is something given to the child through his or her parents when the child is baptized. It's something we ask for. It is something we ask for especially when we seem to be lacking in faith. Usahay mo doon. Murag, di na mo musimba, kaya di man ako feel na natin magtuon. Mas naku ang rasyon na musimba, kaya wala kay gibati ng faith. Kaya pangayuon ang faith. That's the first point, G. Ang P, faith gives us the power to be saved. Without faith, we cannot be saved. Without faith, we cannot celebrate Mass here with meaning. Without faith, the host we will receive while remaining in Jesus Christ, pero sa ato, atong kasing-kasing buuntog lang kung mga lawang pagamitan wala na magtulog. Faith is the power to save. Gives us the power to be saved. S is that we need to be free and to understand what our faith is all about. In other words, it requires the surrender of our self. S. GPS. If we look at these different instances in our readings, we realize that faith is a gift to Abraham, to the Jewish people, and to the steward who will be served by his master. Kinibaw gift of faith is also offered to us. It is offered to us as a power for our own salvation. We think that when we go to Mass, when we light our candles, when we pray, we are serving God. But as a matter of fact, it is God serving us, our needs, loving us. That's something incomprehensible. Lalim mo na, ang Ginoo mo nagalagat ka na, pero mo na yung isulti dili sa Ebanghelyo. And that's why if we don't realize that it is God loving us first, giving us faith so that we will be saved, for the rest of our lives we will be going around in circles, trying to prove ourselves before God and before others. You know, when you're younger, you want to prove yourself. And then when you're older, when you experience strength in limitations, depth in quantity, triumph in failures, then you realize, wow, ang Ginoo ba ay itapang natin. So, we thank God for the gift, for the GPS that we have received from Him. And in our celebration today, as we continue, we open our hearts to the Lord because we believe